My beloved child. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone, it comes from being surrounded, yet unseen. You're in the same room. You hear their laughter. You pass the plates. You sit at the table. But somehow, it feels like you're not really there. Not truly. Not fully. They talk over you. Around you. Past you. And though you smile, though you nod, though you keep doing all the things that have always held this house together, something inside whispers a quiet ache. Have I disappeared? You get up early to make the coffee, fold the blankets, wipe down the counters. You hear doors opening, bags rustling, conversations starting, and you're present, in body, in effort, in love. But no one says, good morning. No one asks, how are you today? At breakfast, they make plans without you. At dinner, they talk about work, schedules, and stress, all while you sit just a few feet away, holding a spoon, nodding, unnoticed. You begin to wonder if you're a fixture in this home, like the lamp in the corner, useful and reliable, but never looked at long enough to be cherished. But child, let me say what they've forgotten. I see you. I always have. I see you as you rise and move through your day, as you listen and serve and silently carry more than anyone realizes. I see your presence, and I honor it. You are not just there. You are not furniture. You are not background. You are mine. Every breath you take, every small act you give, is a fragrant offering to me. Even if no one else says thank you, I do. What if your worth was never meant to be measured by how loudly others acknowledge you, but by how deeply I know you? What if being unseen by them is not the same as being unknown? I see the dignity in your quiet, the strength in your stillness, the wisdom you carry, even when they don't ask for it. You haven't disappeared. You've been hidden under the shelter of my gaze. So let me ask you, have you confused being unrecognized with being unnecessary? Have you let the silence of others make you question your own value? Just because they no longer ask your opinion, doesn't mean your voice has lost its worth. Just because they walk past your chair, doesn't mean I have. Today, I want you to do something simple but sacred. Find a moment when the house is quiet, when no one is watching, and whisper this to me, Lord. Do you still see me? Then pause. Just breathe. And listen for the truth that has never changed. Yes, child. I see you. I know you. I delight in you. Let those words settle in deeper than any silence that surrounds you. You are not just living in their house. You are dwelling in my love. You are not invisible, you are fully seen. Not for what you do, not for how you help, but for who you are. And in this sacred seeing, we begin again, not with noise, not with applause, but with presence. Mine. Yours. Together. My beloved child. It's a strange thing, to live under the same roof, eat the same food, breathe the same air, and yet feel like an outsider in your own home. You hear voices around you all day long, but they're not speaking to you. You catch fragments of conversations about plans, money, the kids, even things that affect your life, but no one turns to you and says, what do you think? They talk near you, past you, across you, but not to you. And slowly, something inside begins to shrink. You sit on the couch as they plan the next family trip. You're in the kitchen as they decide on renovations or schooling or who's coming to dinner. You hear your name come up, but not in a way that invites you in, just in passing. Like a line in a script. You want to speak. Sometimes you even start. But then you see how fast the conversation is moving. How locked in they are to each other. And you fall silent. Again. Not because you have nothing to say, but because it feels like there's no space left for your voice, and I see that. I see every moment you've been left out. Every sentence that moved too fast to include you. Every time your opinion stayed in your chest because you weren't sure it would be welcomed. I hear the words you wanted to say. The wisdom you held back. The insights you've gathered from a lifetime of loving and raising and giving. I hear what they miss. And I do not overlook you, my child. Your voice still carries weight in my kingdom. Your thoughts are not outdated. Your heart is not irrelevant. You are not a relic of another time, you are still my image bearer. Filled with dignity. With insight. With experience that matters. And even when they forget to ask, I still draw near to listen. What if their neglect of your voice is not a reflection of your worth, but a mirror of their own distraction? What if, in being pushed to the background, I'm drawing you into a deeper center? A place where you don't need a seat at their table to have my full attention? So let me ask you now, when was the last time you spoke to me with the honesty you wish they'd ask for? When did you last share your thoughts? Your fears? Your stories, not to be heard by the room, but to be received by the one who never misses a word today? I invite you to take back your voice, not by raising it louder, but by using it intentionally. Find a notebook. Or even the back of a receipt. Write down what you would have said today. If someone had asked. Then speak it aloud in the quiet. Just you and me. Say it not with bitterness, but with trust. Let your voice rise again in my presence, because I listen differently. I don't interrupt. I don't brush past. I wait. I lean in. I remember. And tomorrow, when they gather again and you feel that quiet ache rising, you'll know, your voice is not wasted. It may be missed by them, but it is treasured by me. My beloved child, you don't ask for much. You never have. You've always been the one who gave, quietly, consistently, without needing recognition. But even the strongest soul can feel weary when day after day they give and give, and no one seems to notice. You fold the laundry before they even wake up. You sweep the kitchen floor, refill the soap dispenser, put away the groceries. You remember what kind of tea they like, what time the baby naps, which drawer the scissors belong in. You cook dinner not because anyone asked, but because you know they'll be hungry. You wipe little hands, hang jackets, close cabinet doors that never seem to stay shut. And you do it all with love. But deep inside, a small egg begins to form, not because you need praise, but because sometimes it would be nice if someone simply said, thank you. You overhear them talk about how tired they are, how much they have on their plates, and you nod quietly, thinking, I know. I've carried full plates for decades. You walk into a room where you've already cleaned, set, and prepared everything, and still, they ask, "Can someone handle this?" As if you're not already doing it. But I see you. I've seen every act you thought no one noticed. Every small sacrifice you've folded into the corners of your day. Every decision you made for peace. Every gesture of care that seemed invisible to the world. I see it not as background noise, but as worship. You may be overlooked by people, but in heaven's eyes, you are faithfully building something eternal. What if every quiet task you complete isn't just a duty, but a sacred offering? What if every time you pick up what others leave behind, you're actually lifting it up to me? You've never served just a family, you've been serving me. One hidden act at a time. My word says even a cup of cold water given in my name will not go unrewarded, and you, my beloved, have poured rivers. So let me ask you, when did you begin to believe that what goes unnoticed is unimportant? Who told you that visibility equals value? My son washed feet, not because anyone asked him to, but because love does the humble things. And you, in all your quiet service, look more like him than you realize. Today, I invite you to bless what feels thankless. As you go about your ordinary tasks, preparing a meal, wiping down a surface, tucking something into place, say aloud, "I do this with you, Lord." Let that sentence reframe the moment. Let it become more than a chore, let it become communion. You don't need a spotlight to shine. You shine because you carry me, because you love like me, and because you keep showing up. Not for applause, but for love. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not this week, but one day, someone will look back and say, "I don't know how we would have made it without them." And I will whisper, "I always knew." My beloved child, I know what it feels like when invisibility starts to settle not just around you, but inside you. When the days blur together. When you begin to question if your presence changes anything at all. You move through the house with quiet footsteps. Sit through conversations where no one asks for your thoughts. Perform daily tasks like clockwork. And slowly, almost without noticing, a question creeps in: if I disappeared, would anyone notice? It's not that you want drama. You're not looking to be the center of attention. But you do long to be seen, not just physically, but spiritually. To be known. To be heard. To be valued not for what you used to be, or for what you still manage to do, but simply for who you are. There's a kind of pain that comes from becoming the quiet one. The background. The person who's always there but never mentioned. You've started to measure your worth by the way others respond, or don't. And some days, the conclusion you quietly draw is, maybe I just don't matter like I used to. But child, hear me now, you still matter, not less than before, but more deeply than you know. You are not fading. You are not a shadow. You are a soul that carries my image. Still radiant. Still purposeful. Still full of life. Even if they forget what you've done, I remember. Even if they overlook your presence, I cherish it. You do not blend into the background of my story. You are part of the very center of it. What if this quiet season isn't about you losing significance, but about me stripping away the noise so you can hear again who you've always been? What if your identity wasn't meant to come from how much others see, but from how deeply I know? So let me ask you, gently but honestly, are you willing to believe that your value never left the room, even when people stopped looking your way? Are you open to the truth that your worth has never been tied to visibility, but to love? My love. Constant. Unshakable. Undiminished. Today. Do one thing. Stand in front of the mirror, just for a moment. Not to check your hair or your clothes, but to look into your own eyes, and whisper, I am still here. I am still his. Then place your hand over your heart and let it beat in rhythm with that truth, because you are not just someone's parent, not just someone's helper, not just a background presence in someone else's life. You are my beloved, my reflection, my joy. Let this be the day you stop asking whether you're still visible, and start trusting that in my eyes, you have never been more radiant. My beloved child, they may not see the way you quietly move through each day, but I do. And now, I want you to begin seeing yourself through my eyes, not theirs. Not through how often they speak to you, not through whether they acknowledge your efforts, but through the simple, unwavering truth: you are worth showing up for. You've made space for others for so long, clearing the table, folding the laundry, pausing your thoughts so theirs can be heard. You've given time, patience, attention. But now I ask you, will you make space for yourself again? Not just in the house, but in your spirit, in your schedule, in your soul, because you don't have to wait for them to notice you. You don't have to wait for their validation to begin seeing the sacredness in your presence. You don't need their invitation to begin showing up for yourself, and with me. What if each day, even in the smallest way, you created a space where you were no longer invisible, not because someone else made room, but because you did? What if, for just 10 minutes a day, you sat down not as the overlooked elder in the room, but as the honored guest at a holy table? What if you lit a candle, opened a psalm, or simply rested your hand over your heart and whispered, Lord, I am here. I am yours. And you see me. Let me ask you this, can you commit to seeing yourself the way I see you? Not through the blurry lens of others' distraction, but with the clarity of my attention, unhurried, undivided, full of delight? Can you believe that every time you show up, in stillness, in silence, in longing, I'm already there, waiting, smiling, listening? Today, take one step, choose a chair in your home, any chair. Claim it as yours and mine. Make it a place where invisibility ends, where your name is spoken in prayer, where your thoughts are safe to unfold, where your presence is no longer hidden, but honored. This is your seat, not because someone gave it to you, but because I prepared it for you. And every time you sit there, you're not just reminding yourself that you matter, you're agreeing with me. You're saying, yes, Lord, I believe I am seen. And that belief, it changes things, because healing doesn't always begin with someone else noticing you. Sometimes, it begins when you finally choose to notice yourself again, and let me show you how radiant you still are. My beloved child, The world may walk past you 100 times without looking up. But I never stop looking. I never lose sight of you. Not for a moment. Not when the hallway grows quiet. Not when they make decisions without you. Not when your chair at the dinner table feels more like a placeholder than a presence. I have never stopped seeing you. But more than that, I've never stopped calling you. You see, I didn't create you to blend into the background. I didn't place you in this home, in this season, in this life, just to disappear. I placed you here because you carry something no one else can offer, a light uniquely yours. You may not speak loudly, but your presence brings peace. You may not demand attention, but your spirit carries wisdom. And even when others forget what you've done, I have written it all down. Every kind act, every quiet sacrifice, every whispered prayer. You haven't been waiting to fade. You've been waiting to rise again, into the truth of who you are in me. Not just a helper, not just a shadow, but a bearer of my glory. Still reflecting light, still radiating love, still part of my great unfolding story. So let me ask you, gently but clearly, are you ready to believe that your season isn't over? That invisibility isn't the end of the path, but the beginning of something deeper, a life where you live not to be noticed, but to be known by me. Today, I invite you to speak one sentence aloud. Not just with your mouth, but with your whole being. I am not invisible. I am known, loved, and chosen by God. Say it over your reflection. Say it in your favorite chair. Say it before you lie down to sleep. Let this be your anchor when no one else seems to acknowledge your presence. Because I do. And more than seeing you, I invite you to walk with me in the garden of your quiet days. To share with me the stories no one else asks to hear. To be renewed in the identity that no silence can erase. You are mine. You are still here. You are still needed. You are not forgotten. You are not fading. You are eternal in worth, unshakable in value, and unmistakable in my heart. So rise from your quiet corner, not in noise, not in performance, but in peace. Because you are seen, you are loved, you are called, and I am still writing your story, one sacred day at a time.